Hello, the Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream. Coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. Folks, camera off. What broke? Something just happened. There we go, camera on. That's weird. Camera's flickering off and on. Okay, welcome, folks. Great to see you here. Great to be here with you. And lovely as always. Okay, here we go. There we go. That's working. Where is this little distraction coming from? I've yet to have been able to figure this out. I have like a blanket here managing sound, but okay, there we go. Excellent, folks. Lovely to be here as always. Let's see. There we go. Folks, what is up? What's happening? What's new? What's going on? And what is the deal? Very happy we are here together. Hit me up in the chat. Where you at? What are you grateful for? I went to the park yesterday. I'm happy that my puppy is finally starting to chill out just a tiny bit. I went to the park yesterday and let's see in this way. Boink. Okay. I went to the park yesterday and it was a delight to, what was it? There's so few people at the park. In New York, it's like always just packed. And it's just so nice to have it be just a few people. So where are you at? What are you grateful for? And then we'll go from there. Folks, today I am thinking about doing a meditation that I'm pretty excited about. And I want to know, what do you want to do? What are your thoughts? Morning from Brooklyn. Grateful for enough time to get groceries and be back for this. Cha-ching. That's excellent. That's the key. Groceries, as far as priorities. Live stream, I just dropped something important on the ground. A little tiny piece of a thing. And I'm going to look for it because if I don't find it right now, I'm never going to find it. Where'd it go? Well, okay, it looks like I'm never going to find it. I can't get down on the ground yet right now. Okay, well, there it is. Folks, today's going to be a somewhat briefer than usual, maybe. Briefer than, last one was sort of brief. We're going to do a pretty tight little dance here. We're going to jump into our meditation any minute and then answer questions after that. And we'll go from there. Folks, I'm thinking about doing some major format changing here on the stream, largely because I want to know how effective it is. It's sort of an interesting thing. I heard someone point this thing out that they were like, I had to stop doing, they were broadcasting on Twitter, and on Twitter, they're just getting so few followers. They're like, it's actually bad for our brand because we weren't getting a ton of people. So it's very strange for me because, I do the stream and I'm like, it's fine. It's a few of us here just chilling out. People watch the playback. It's like, it's going to take time to build over time, whatever. And sometimes I wonder if it's bad for the brand. The fact that it is a very small group. Just being transparent here and trying to figure out maybe something needs to get restructured or it happens less often or something like that. But something to think about. Okay, folks, Nate is here from West Virginia for a meditation teacher. Lovely. I'm glad that you have someone you can turn to. Anyone else? Tell me where you're at. What are you grateful for? And we'll get ready for the meditation as you're typing out where you are, what you're grateful for. And any requests as far as the meditation, any challenges today, anything you're working on or want to develop or want to change in your life or anything like that, let me know because I'll weave that into the meditation itself. Also kind of what sort of meditations you want to do, what kind of experience you want to have. It kills me a little bit that people... Okay, I want to paint a picture here for you. Imagine it's like the 60s and you're hearing about meditation for the first time and you're like, whoa, these monks will sit and meditate and have these experiences and whoa, they're talking about transforming themselves. The likelihood is very low that you'd be like, I want to do that because I want to relax. It's like relaxing is one thing among this big palette of things that could possibly happen. But at that moment, you're probably thinking, I want to have a transformational experience. I want to see God. I want to, etc. And yet the relaxed people sort of won the marketing drive. So people think that what meditation for is to relax, maybe to focus. And it's helpful to note, like, think how different those are. Relax, focus. Yeah, they're related, but they're pretty different. But people are like, no, meditation does one thing. It teaches you to relax. Maybe focus. It teaches you anything the mind can do. So anything that you want to explore, etc., tell me, and we'll build meditation around that. In the meantime, as you're typing that out, make sure to follow the channel here so you know when we go live, if we go live. And then the other thing is, so we're going to encourage you to practice in stillness. So to keep the body entirely still for the duration of the sit. It trains any part of the mind. That's what meditation does. Anything that is volitional that can be trained, it can be trained by meditation. And so if you want to get better at your jump shot, if you want to get better at any of these things, all of which can be broken down into meditative steps. And that is my opinion. So yeah, that's the general breakdown. What it does is it helps you move towards your values. That's it. Like if something's important to you, it can help you move towards them and help them be woven into your life more completely. So with that, I'm going to encourage folks to find a way that they can sit still for the duration of the sit. This means finding a posture where your knees are lower than your hips. I was just talking to a student today. He's like, I finally did the thing with your knees lower than your hips and my back pain went away. I was like, yeah. So whether it's on a chair or you are on a bench or sitting on a cushion, whatever you want, or standing or walking, just make sure that your knees are below your hips, lower than your hips. And I don't know of a way, sometimes people don't understand what that means, but I don't know of a way to explain that better. Like, okay, so here's your hips and here are your knees. Let's say make them smaller, right? You're standing, right? And then you sit down and your knees are like, you're kind of like here or here. Anywhere in here is like sitting, right? This is sort of the sitting range. Most chairs will actually have them either parallel or up. So meaning like you're sitting and your knees are kind of like leaning upwards. Here's your knee, here's your hips. You just got to get them below. Anywhere in the below range is going to be fine, less back pain. It took me years to find that out. Very few meditation teachers talk about that. Gotta happen. Okay, folks, find that nice comfortable position that you can maintain for the duration of the sit. When you're ready, we will begin. Let me clear my throat. Okay. Okay, great. Let's begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths. Just feeling the body rise and fall. Each time we begin a meditation, we begin with the momentum of all of the previous moments. So if we arrived at this meditation and the mind and body were moving quickly, we were running through our plans and jumping around on the internet, the mind will be moving at the same speed. So when we try to pay attention to the body relaxing, in this case, the mind will quickly jump or move to a different piece of information. So we're trying to slow that down by just paying close attention to the sensations of the body. Physically relaxing, starting at the top of the head, relaxing the brow, relaxing the eyes, allowing the face to go smooth, relaxing the back of the tongue, letting the jaw go slack. Relaxing the neck and the shoulders, the arms, and relaxing the hands, tuning into the subtle sensations of the palms of the hands and tips of the fingers. Really tuning into the sensations of the hands. We use this as our anchor often, so simply tuning in at this moment can bring back a lot of that practice momentum. Letting go of any attempt to control the breath, letting the body breathe as it will, and noticing the natural tightening and relaxing of the upper chest and upper back as the breath comes and goes. Relaxing the belly and the lower back. Relaxing the hips and the upper legs. The knees, the calves, the ankles, and relaxing the feet. And as we begin to relax everywhere all at once, the entire body, allow the mind to relax so that it can take in all sense data. This is more of a relaxing than it is a reaching to grab each little piece of sight, sound, body sensation. It's a kind of letting go that allows everything in. One big cloud of sensing. According to this body, mind, what's the experience of all sense data in this moment? And because we're resting in the overall experience, what we might call the whole, various pieces of this experience will arise and seem like distractions. The mind is pulled towards some detail. Not a problem, we simply introduce that detail back to the overall experience. So the mind may be pulled towards thoughts, memory, planning, fantasy. If that arises, it's not a problem, it's simply part of the nature of the mind. So introducing that back to the overall experience. times we may be pulled towards or even identified with our emotional narrative, our sense of the story that we live within. Even this meditation is something the mind can place in a story. This is part of this moment, and there are previous moments that span all the way back to my childhood, and this is part of that story. So we can know the mind will produce this kind of hologram, a seeming truth. So just knowing that, seeing that, introducing that part back to the overall experience. If there's part of us that understands this process, or part of us that feels frustrated with something that happened, part of us that feels this is going wonderfully or this is going terribly, each of these parts is an emotional narrative habit. It's not bad. We're simply introducing that piece of our experience back to the overall. You may notice that the mind will say that what our experience is, what we really are, is something that is located right here. The mind puts itself at the center of the universe. So to just notice the mind is doing this helps us see right through that. The sense of the middle of experience. This is how the mind arranges space. To observe this and to know that it is a kind of mental trick. At one level, we know we are not the center of the universe, but the mind doesn't completely know that. It thinks perhaps we are. We're at least the most important point. Simply seeing that, introducing that back to the whole. And at times the mind will say what we are, what we truly are, is a point in time. What's sometimes called this moment. And while that's true in one way, it's also the way the mind is organizing our experience. It's shaping and at times distorting our experience to give us a sense of time marching forward. Everything seems to have a beginning, middle, end. So to see that, to see the mind creating that, is to see through that. And of course, these may come at any time. There may be one or more appearing. Just seeing them for what they are, just an arrangement of the mind, pushing and pulling against raw sense data. And past this, we may find that there's some sense of a viewer. That the awareness is a kind of self. That's me observing this experience. In other words, it's a kind of duality. The mind creates a me that observes in a world that can be observed. To see this imagined separation is to see through it. So notice that any sense of separation of inside and outside, of viewer and viewed, is transparent. Awareness can soak through those experiences. It doesn't have to stay at the outer edge. So if any of these different layers arises, simply noting them, thoughts or emotional narrative, a sense of space or time, or a sense of any duality, any separation. None of these are bad. They're simply part of the nature of the mind. And to know them is to learn to become free of them. you find that you've become distracted at any point, as you begin to come back into awareness, noticing if the distraction is one of these, or built out of one of these, or a combination. And of course, we might only have glimpses of any one of these experiences or glimpses through them, and that's fine. That's what meditation is built out of, as many instances that eventually become a default. Seeing any sense of identity, the thing we call me, is simply another duality, another strange division of our sense experience. And you may notice that there's a way all of this can be experienced that doesn't require any doing. It is simply known. Our awake awareness simply knows these experiences without us needing to search, to pry. It is simply known. Noticing if there's any duality that comes in the form of time or space. A duality that comes in the form of parts of us, emotional narrative habits. Dualities that come in the form of thoughts, memory, planning, fantasy. And to know these different experiences within the greater context. This is to be free of all of these various boundaries, free of the tendency of making boundaries. Or simply free. Staying with the practice, staying in stillness, observing the same material as we allow a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes. Eventually allowing the eyes to rest on a single point as they fully open. Letting the spaciousness of seeing expand the spaciousness of awareness. And in this way, allowing this particular moment to be the great teacher that shows us how we might bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, a little frozen cam, no problem. There we go. All right, folks. So what was that? What's the order of things? How does reality work again? What happened? What happened? What was it like? And what do you like now? So hit me. We're going to be ending a little bit earlier than usual. Looks like Chris wants to jump onto Discord. I'll tell you what, Chris. Mental note. Change that Discord link. Team Tomalon, if you're listening, send me a note that says change the Discord link, because Chris did the exact right thing, which is pop up the Discord link, but we're actually going to be using our new stage setting, which is what's up. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give you the link in 10 seconds. You can even find it. It's right there. It's the stage. It is live stream chat. Oh, wow. Looks like I'm still here. Okay. Become the speaker. Looks like that has been on all weekend long. Okay. Invite, copy. There you go, buddy. This is for you. That's how to jump on if you want to jump on by voice. So give me a report. What was that meditation like? What happened? What do you like now? Questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns. Challenges or concerns. Questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns. I like the first part. I feel like it could use work. If folks have suggestions on how to improve this catchphrase for how I ask questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns. I think the challenges I find a little annoying. I don't know why. It feels like it's not as poetic. Other C words, not that C word. Okay, let's jump here onto, okay, we got Chris here. I'm going to put you in. Wait, right click. I'm going to ask you, invite to speak. Now you're invited to speak. Here we go.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Great, thanks. Glad to be back.
Yeah, glad you're here too.
Yeah, so I found that way easier to do it with eyes closed than with eyes open, because
Sure.
with eyes open, it seems like the duality is more like hardwired.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I found it the most difficult was to dissolve like the sense of a center in the head,
Mm-hmm.
and the sense of where the sense data is coming from. For example, feelings in the legs and arms. That
Mm-hmm.
seems to be like a very strong habit the system has.
Yeah, and just know that you don't have to dissolve it. You just can see through it. I know it sounds like a little like very flippant. I just see through it. But notice that no matter, because what you're describing is see in, the mental tendency to produce image, produce, location, space, all of these different things. Notice that awareness just can go through those edges. It doesn't actually care about the boundaries. So right now, as you're sitting here, you have a sense of the room that you're in, or whatever space you're in. The mind just produces that. Notice that the mind, and it feels like a barrier. So the mind will like stop there and then be like, okay, well, maybe outside of that. But notice that even the barrierness of the space that you're in, awareness can just go right through it. It just is like transparent to awareness. So you don't actually have to get rid of it. And that's one of the things that's important to know, is it's not a matter of eliminating these things. It's just seeing them, and seeing them is actually disidentifying with them. So if you can dissolve it, lovely. But if you can't dissolve the sense of space or location, or that there's a body or that kind of thing, like that's normal. That's actually quite expected. You can just see through it, see it as transparent and empty. Then you're effectively on your way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice. Any other
Thanks,
question or anything before we hop skip?
No, it was pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Great to have you here. And then see you soon. Okay. If anyone else wants to jump on the Discordio, see how fun that is. It's super fun for me. It feels like so like easy. Oops. I just hit my own button to my own thing. Never mind. Super fun for me, I find. Any other questions or reports? These kind of things. What is up, folks? Does that put the Discord back in? Yeah, here we go. Okay. I want to see though. Oh, we don't even have a tab open. That's not very helpful. There we go. That's going to mess up the signal. Okay, folks, hit me with reports. What was that meditation like? What happened? What are you like now? Okay, great. Any other questions or reports? I'm not going to torture anybody to give a meditation report, although I should. You should be tortured. It should be George W. Bush era generation tortured for not giving a meditation report. Okay, hit me, folks. Hit me with any questions. I'm about to say it. Questions, quandaries, queries, challenges, or concerns. I think it's also that challenges or concerns. Concerns seems a little daunting, a little bit, doesn't it? It's like concerns. Questions, queries, quandaries, challenges, or life concerns. That's better. It doesn't have. Or life concerns. Jean says, my leg fell asleep. Very analog report. No problem. My leg fell asleep, so I had to move, but otherwise was able to stay with your words the whole time. Yay. All right. And I'd be curious what the experience was like within that. If that was available, you'll notice that the meditation we did last time was the first 3 layers. We did thought, emotional, narrative, time and space. And this time we sort of zipped through those and then moved to duality, which would be the 4th layer in this system. The system is mirroring or mimicking Advaita, which is more popularly expressed through Dan Brown's work. Lovely, lovely Dan Brown. No pressure, though. So in the meantime, okay, folks, write your reports. I want to pull something up here on. Oops.
But I got published.
I want to pull something up here on YouTube, real quick, and maybe we'll watch that. Let's see what the timing is. Okay, we have about 20 minutes left before I got a geo. I wonder how much folks would like to watch me play VR video games. How about that? Would that be fun? Beep bop bop beep bop bop bop. Where is this? Okay. Where is this?
Welcome to Deep Mindfulness.
No. Sorry, I'm just skimming through here. Plant school. Okay, sorry, I'm just searching for a thing. Yeah, hit me with reports, folks. Give me them. Give me them reports, yo. Home. No, science fiction. No, why is this? Not now. Top news. Should we just watch the top news? Should we watch a video called Socialism is Evil by a review of the video Socialism is Evil by a debater, Destiny? This is all popping up on my feed. Where is library? There it is, library. Got him. Playlists. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Don't start playing. Stop. Okay. This is something someone told me to watch. Okay, let's actually... Oh, you know what? We're going to watch this, even though it's like a little silly. Let me pop this into screen number 2. This is Jim Carrey, who I think is, has this pretty serious meditation practice, even though he's a little wacky about it. I respect Jim Carrey and his practice. Okay, there we go. I'm going to open that up. Monitor 2. There we go. Move this into place. We'll watch this while we're getting ready for some reports to roll in. Roll Tide, folks. Nope. There we go. Where is this video? Okay. Video is here. All right, let's kick it. Ready, folks? Let me just make sure this. Okay, great. Yeah, I was talking about watching Destiny. Exactly. Some people know exactly who Destiny is. Probably people who express their gender as male. Jean says,
I didn't catch the last stream yet. I just sort of felt like an empty vessel today.
Nice.
Usually there are a lot of thoughts flitting through my head.
Nice. Glad to hear it. Okay, we're going to watch not Destiny. Although I've thought about actually trying to get on Destiny's show and like argue with them because I have some things I have some words I'd say. Okay, we're going to watch this video from Jim Carrey called What is Real?
I used to be a guy who was experiencing the world, and now I feel like the world and the universe experiencing a guy.
What's funny is that they're using footage that has nothing to do with when he was saying these words, so it's like very comical. It's the video editor's what's it called? Video editor's concept of like what fits with the words, but it's not Jim Carrey's representation in that moment.
When the curtain goes down at the end of the drama, the hero and the villain step out hand in hand, and the audience applaud both. Because they know that the hero role and the villain role are only masks.
As an actor, you play characters, and then if you go deep enough into those characters, you realize that your own character is pretty thin to begin with.
So I'm going to pause there. So two things. One is that they're playing Alan Watts, which I just want to point out to folks. Alan Watts is a lovely commentator. He never actually did, maybe he did some Zen, but he wasn't like a Zen practitioner or teacher. He just thought it was really cool, which is cool. And I think he probably speaks eloquently about it, but that part of why I could never really get into him. Something was always missing, and I realized he's not a practitioner. What Jim Carrey just stated there, you play a role and then you become that, you realize the self, the sense of identity is also just a role. It's imaginary and it's hologram. He's describing, the Buddhist insight of non-self, but he's also, quite literally, late stage Buddhism will have you taking on all these roles, taking on these different postures of different gods and different mudras, meaning like positions of the gods, like, you're holding your hands in certain ways and saying the words of gods. How gods talk, they're like om, 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 gods. And seeing that and really like taking that on as your own form and going through this whole series of gods. And it just sort of points to the fact and shows you that, oh, this form that I hold, this sense of self, is really pretty arbitrary. It's pretty built out of the same material. It's the same see, hear, feel. And it just feels very solid. It feels like I've committed to this role.
And then you suddenly have this separation and go, well, who's Jim Carrey? Oh, he doesn't exist, actually.
And at a certain point, I realized, hey, wait a second, if it's so easy to lose Jim Carrey, who the hell is Jim Carrey?
There's just a relative manifestation of consciousness appearing, and then somebody gave him a bunch of ideas. They gave him a name and a religion and a nationality, and he clustered those together into something that's supposed to be a personality.
And it's also worth mentioning, it's not just societal. There are a lot of biological sort of functions that make it very easy to create an identity. Like the sense of self that we have, that you have right now, is there for a purpose. It's helpful for passing genetic material forward. If there's one self that you need to protect, I have two fingers up here because obviously it's some kind of contradiction. If there's one self that you need to protect, well, that's much easier than if there's sort of this universal being that's sort of passing in and out of self and world and these kind of things. So there is a biological drive along with this too. It's not just societal, but I take the point.
And it doesn't actually exist. And none of that stuff, if you drill down, is real.
And so you see behind the stage too, there is the green room, where after the play is over and before it begins, the masks are taken off.
Dressing happens, doing hair happens, interviewing happens, and it happens without me, without the idea of a me.
It's really,
So, Exalted says, I thought Alan Watts was a very realized person. Did he not meditate at all? This is my understanding, and I might be wrong, but I understood that he was a commentator and he really was like an advocate and like supported people doing it, but he really himself, it was more philosophical. He wasn't actually doing the meditation. I would, from what I can tell and from what I've heard and from self-reports, that Jim Carrey actually has a lot more practice on the cushion actually meditating than Alan Watts. Now, keep in mind, people can become deeply transformed just philosophically. They can become deeply transformed cooking a batch of cookies. Like, you can change and have a lot of these realizations without actually having, sitting on the cushion. The most reliable form that we know is actually deeply meditating. I don't know anything about him, but he sounds like he practices. Yeah, exactly. It's funny anyway, we'll just listen in.
the fact that we are already enlightened, we're already complete, and it's just realizing that you're complete. Once you realize you're complete, then this life and everything in it becomes a play of form, something to toy with and play with and make something good out of.
So I believe, and I don't know his background, but I believe he's talking about like a late stage Buddhism non-dual, which is part of why I wanted to watch this today, because we're doing a kind of non-dual practice, although it was a little bit random. I forgot that this was on the menu. But this idea that we're already awake, we are already completely awake, and that all we need to do is uncover that and recognize that. It's a late Buddhist philosophy. Early Buddhism has this idea that there are sort of things that are poisonous. It's a little bit like sin. There's things like clinging and aversion, etc. We need to uproot those and take them out, and then we can be free. Later, you say middle stage Buddhism has this idea that we can transmute those. We can take craving and aversion and to transform them from something that's yucky and problematic into something that is free. Later stage says there's nothing wrong with them. They are pure forms of the Dharma, or this infinite wisdom, so to speak, expressing itself also, and we have to be able to see that, and that's the way we get free. That's what I believe he's referring to.
It's what's happening right now inside everybody is they're going, who am I? And they're depressed, a lot of people, because they're trying to hold up an image in the world. And that's what depression is. People go like, oh, Jim's been depressed and stuff. Well, yeah, I was depressed when I was trying to be the Wizard of Oz instead of the sweaty guy behind the curtain. But now I know that Oz is a character,
I would just add one thing here where he says that like people are asking like, who am I? And, and they're depressed. I don't think most people are asking, who am I? I think people their mind says, this is who you are. Don't think about it, and make sure to like drink as much as you can and have fun. But it's like the self part is like very stable, and no one questions that. So I think people are on a good track if you're saying, well, who really, who am I? Like, not like what college do I want to go to, which is a great question, but it's more like fundamentally, who am I? Which if you look closely enough, the same question is, what am I? It's the who sort of goes away. It's actually what, and what I would say, cheat sheet, is that we are an expression of, this is my take, this is my the way that I talk about it, is we're an expression of life, the same force that animates plants, and the same force that pushed its way out of the ocean billions of years ago. That we are part of an unbroken chain all the way back to those origins, unbroken. Nothing along the line has died for us in order to be here, and life is expressing itself, and it is alive and awake, and that's what we get to tap into if we're very lucky.
Everybody walks around and they go like, why am I depressed? Well, it's because you're trying to be something for the world, and as soon as you let that go, better things happen, because they're just happening. And there's been a series of kind of awakenings I've had in my life, and people chalk it up to depression and all that stuff. I think that grief and sadness and all those things are the ticket home to nothing. I think that was a part of the process. There's been several other awakenings, and yet still I have a lot of egoic attachments that pull my attention and focus.
I appreciate that he says that, because I think it can be easy to be like, I've had some realization and therefore I am a like infinite blank slate, and it's just not the case. And that's been, one of the things I've heard is, if you look at like the awakening is this sort of 360-degree turn where you basically, by the end, you return back to who you always were and realize like, oh, I was always awake. There's a halfway point where you can be very awake and still just be full of, like, you don't see the emptiness of the awakeness. And I don't know if I would say this is true, but that's to some degree, I think you could interpret someone who's like, I'm awake, look at me, I'm awake. And I think there's a degree to which in the past at certain points I've seen Jim Carrey do that. I don't know if that's still current, but I appreciate that he's pointing out, pointing this out. Someone wants the link to this. Right now, go ahead and search it. It is, let me see here, if I can just get the link. What is it called? See if I don't mess everything up by just getting this. It's called What Really Exists Under the Surface, Jim Carrey. So you can search that and pop right in. Okay. Uh-oh. Got a computer warning. All right, let's go.
I think, the right marriage with the right character and the right guy who's going through something is essential.
And so that behind the scene, that is to say, in reality, under the surface, you are all the actor. Marvelously skilled in playing many parts and in getting lost in the mazes of your own minds and the entanglements of your own affairs, as if this were the most urgent thing going. But behind the scenes, in the green room, you always have a very tiny sneaking suspicion that you might not be the you that you think you are.
That's actually really smart. So as a tactic to finding those little, like the chinks in the armor, like that, like this sense of maybe I'm not this person I think I am, and then like hanging out with that is a very skillful tactic. Not just being like, oh yeah, I guess I do have that thought sometimes. Finding that experience, cultivating that over time is actually very powerful. Alrighty. We watched it, folks. We did it. We've got no reports here. Well, we got Gene's report. Okay, any other reports before we eject, hit right back? We'll be back here in 2 very lovely days. Let me know if that was fun, a little different. We don't usually watch a video here. And make sure to follow our asses if you have not yet. We're going to do lots of fun meditation content as we roll along. Hit me. Oh, we had a question here. I had this idea of talking to Destiny. Well, I have a few things I want to talk to Destiny, and I'd really want to clarify this before I did, obviously. A few things. One is that I think that he is wrong on a bunch of actual things that, and if people don't know, this is like a guy who's like a pro debater online, really sweet guy, but also like attachment strategy wise is like, dismissive, which means he's like way closer to the like narcissistic range, which not to say he's, well, maybe he's narcissistic, I don't know, but more so that he's like, just relationships are very unimportant. They're very like whatever. And so he's like known for like really getting these awful like fights with people because he just doesn't care about them at all. He's like, screw you, you're an idiot, you don't exist. So it's just like that I think is, I would probably talk about that and talk about it in terms of attachment and talk about it in terms of like, he's always like, it's a mystery. I don't know why people don't like me. I don't know. And it's just like comical. But I would talk to him about that, but also like, there's a philosopher who talked to him who's talking about like Eastern philosophy and how that's a different view. And he's like, no, it's not the different view. It's the same view. And I do think that it's a very different view because it's based on experience rather than theory. And it's very hard from a theoretical point of view to see a distinction, but they're radically different. Dear God, they're different. Okay. Gene says, it's funny. I have heard Jim Carrey say some really cool things, but I find his work wildly irritating. You mean his acting work? Yeah, it's a acquired taste. Exalted says he has had himself he has said himself that he is kind of a narcissist. He's quite self-aware. Or at least it seems like, yeah, he is to some degree, but it's obviously still, major issue in his life that he can't, whatever. So that would be cool. So that's something I'm thinking about. I don't know if I want to. Anyway, folks, I'm going to jump off. Great to see you. I want to play a little music for you. But don't go yet. In this very, very moment right now, take a listen to this music and take a listen to whatever's happening around you. Just an overall experience, everything that's happening top to bottom, your sight, sounds, your sense of time, space, your emotional narrative of you, what you're about to jump into in your day, the thoughts, all of that is one big pool of material. And notice that it's all the same. It's all sense data, sort of pushing and pulling on your sense of reality. And seeing if you can see that, seeing if you can see what that is. I would say before you talk to him, listen to that's exactly why I actually decided I wanted to talk to him, was that the conversation, and that doctor was trying to get across the Destiny. Like, I think he might be dismissive in terms of attachment, but it seemed like he was pretty polite about it and never really got there. Yeah, exactly. Dullness and lack of emotion. Exactly that. Okay. So folks, right now, take this particular moment to be the teacher that'll show you how to bring this practice into every aspect of your life. And as always, practice well, take care of each other, have fun, and we'll see you all very, very soon.